I'm Wendy Rutledge, and this is Palm Beach TV, a production of the Palm Beach Civic Association. Here's what is straight ahead in this week's Island News. Palm Beach County is a hotspot for the new and more dangerous variants of COVID-19. How do we play it smart? The Palm Beach Food Bank has opened its doors of its new and much larger facility. How the expanded physical space is helping to meet the ever-growing need for food. Peanut Island is home to a piece of national history, the Kennedy Bunker. We'll take you on a tour and explore what is next for the island just off Palm Beach shores. The pros make it look easy, but putting that little golf ball requires focus and some strategy. We'll get you a tip from an island pro, all coming up next on Palm Beach TV. There are now at least 5 variants of the novel coronavirus present right here in Palm Beach County, which is considered to be a hotspot for the spread of these new, potentially more serious viruses.
The variants are there, and we know they're there. We don't know to the extent to which they are there or how many infections they're causing. It's unknown about some of the variants. The UK variant, the 117, it appears to the doctors and the scientists that we are covered for that if we're vaccinated. But the others, we don't know. And there are more emerging all the time. As we sit here, there are more variants that emerge. You only find out about them later.
Easter, Passover, movie theaters opening up, people getting on airplanes at greater frequency. That sounds like a perfect storm.
It is a perfect storm. We're acting like we're out of it. The fear is that we are in this race against this virus that continues to mutate. And the scary part is that eventually you could get a variant that escapes our immune system, that our immune system doesn't see, and therefore it doesn't provide a huge reaction.
How are we picking up what variants we have?
Because they sequence it. If you do the sequencing on 5%, that will give you a very good feel for how prevalent any particular variant is in your neighborhood, your county. But we're not doing that yet, So, but 5% is the number. That's
so the actual degree of the presence of variants could be underestimated at this point.
It's way underestimated. And so the longer this goes on and variants emerge, we may be faced with something like that. So it's very important everybody get vaccinated. And in the meantime, wear your mask.
We are here at the brand new Palm Beach County Food Bank facility. It is a beautiful brand new warehouse. And right behind me is the very first group of volunteers to work in this new facility. So let's take a tour.
You're our first group through, so you're kind of
The
our
guinea pigs.
inauguration of what I like to call my 10-cent tour.
With that, the new CEO of the Palm Beach County Food Bank led members of the Palm Beach Civic Association's Critical Needs Committee through the massive new warehouse that is the new home of the organization.
Right now we are doing about 1.5 million pounds a month. This building has a capacity to serve 44 million pounds a year.
This enormous increase in capacity to store and distribute food to the swelling 220,000 hungry residents of Palm Beach County is a critical response to the growing need brought on by the coronavirus.
COVID has really brought into light that food banks are the safety net for families, individuals, and seniors that are in need of assistance.
A need recognized by this group, who last April were part of the Palm Beach Civic Association's drive to partner farmers and their excess produce with hungry families through the Save Our Produce initiative.
Farmers had a huge surplus because the restaurants were all closed and the food insecure had a desperate need for food. So the idea was to be an intermediary between those two needs, and it was a big success. That was kind of a one-off program, but in the background, the Palm Beach County Food Bank continues to serve, I think, close to 100 clients.
Not only was the Civic Association group the first to tour the new facility, but this is the first group of volunteers to work sorting donated food for distribution. The Palm Beach County Food Bank supplies over 100 organizations with the food they will then distribute to those in need.
We have agencies that some do their distribution just once a month, some do it 2-3 times a week. We have congregate feeding sites that are running like soup kitchen type shelters, and they're feeding on a daily basis.
That's three meals a day.
Some of the congregate feeding centers, especially with the shelters, are doing the 3 meals a day. Yes.
Proving to people like Robin Sr. that hunger is a problem right here, right now.
It's stunning that people really think this doesn't happen, and it does. And it's right at our back door, and people say, oh, I'm feeding the kids in Africa. Yeah, well, what about the ones in West Palm Beach or in Riviera Beach or Lake Worth or wherever, you know? Why aren't we feeding those people?
Reassuring to many that the Palm Beach County Food Bank and its supporters are rising to the call for help from our very own Food Insecure.
It's very timely, and this area does have that need to a great extent, and I'm very glad to see that we're trying to serve that need.
Now that Palm Beach County has retained control over Peanut Island and committed to a low-impact style of management, we wanted to see for ourselves what's going on the island right now, particularly with regard to the Kennedy Bunker and whether there are any plans for preservation. First stop, the historic Kennedy Bunker. Built in Cold War era 1961 as a safe haven for then President Kennedy, if needed during his stay at the family home on Palm Beach. A somewhat spooky, dimly lit tunnel leads to the main underground space, cleared of its original presidential relics and in disrepair, having been closed to the public and neglected for nearly 5 years. But help is on the way.
Obviously, it hasn't been open for 5 years, and it hasn't been taken care of probably for another 20 years. So what the county will do is, through grants, we'll come in and clean it up and take the rotten wood that you just saw over there to the showers, make it safe for people to actually come through and do tours.
Though hastily thrown together in advance of the Cuban Missile Crisis, with some 20 feet of dirt directly overhead to insulate the underground structure, President Kennedy was not a frequent guest. As far as you know, President Kennedy never used it or rarely used it?
We believe he was here once. He came once, I want to say almost for a trial run, not because there was something going on. So he was here once. I think it was almost, probably a dry run to make sure they knew how long it would take to get him here and getting him in and all that.
Back outside, our next stop, the once active but now abandoned Coast Guard station, built in the 1920s, but unoccupied since the Coast Guard relocated its local office to Riviera Beach. Some nautical gear and hints of the structure's vital past do remain, but glaring signs of disrepair are evident.
The concerns are really that the right thing be done with the island as far as preserving any historic value that it has, first of all, and making sure that that value is available to the public, both in Palm Beach County and throughout the country.
It's clear this man-made island, which grew out of the piled, dredged material discarded in the creation of the Lake Worth Inlet, is suffering a bit now from disrepair and neglect. However, Palm Beach County is likely to address this over the next few years as grants for preservation dollars come in. Meantime, nothing can erase the memories of Peanut Island as it used to be in the simpler times of years past.
A group of us used to bring our kids over and camp on the island on the weekends, Friday or Saturday night. And there were no facilities here at all then of any sort, and it was fairly wild. And we would literally swim across the channel to the Sailfish Marina for breakfast the next morning.
As we swing into spring, many of us will be tempted to pick up a golf club and swing into action. But as I say, drive for show, putt for dough, which is easier said than done. That's why we're here, getting a tip from the experts. That is our WOW segment, Word on Wellness.
I'm at the Palm Beach Par 3 golf course with Tony Chateauvert, and I've asked him, what's the best thing that you can really do before you get out on the course to play, to practice your putting?
Thanks, Nikki. There's some right things to do and there's some wrong things to do. And today we're going to show you both ways. Here's some tips for the putting green to make you a better putter before you go play golf. If you're like most people, they'll grab a sleeve of Pro V1s out of the golf shop. They'll throw their 3 balls on the putting green, and most of the cups are 8 or 9 feet away. And what they do then is they practice hitting the ball to the cup, and what they inadvertently do is they practice missing putts. I'm going to show you the right way to practice before you go play golf. So here's the way to practice putting before your next round of golf. Instead of practice missing putts, we're going to practice distance control. We're going to hit 3 putts the same way. Hopefully they all go the same distance. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, and hopefully all 3 putts go the same distance.
That's it for this week's Palm Beach TV. We thank you for watching. If you are not a member of the Palm Beach Civic Association, please join us. And if you are a member, why don't you renew? So we will see you next week on Palm Beach TV, a production of the Palm Beach Civic Association, where membership matters.